Hey guys, welcome. New video. Wearing the hat backwards. This means we're serious today because we got some serious work on the AE86 to do. The rear bushings are done. They have been squeaking for a long time. I thought they might just be poly bushes which are not greased properly. I think they're just factory bushes which just ripped the little pin inside, just ripped off. So the bushing's actually spinning now because usually the rubber would just like deform, but will always be attached to the center pin and the outer race. So it should not turn, should not squeak, which means when a factory bushing is squeaking like that, it means it's probably ripped off, which is not to blame for an old car. So we're gonna put in poly bushes. Let me show you, because I'm gonna do that a bit on a rush. I 3D printed them out of TPU, which is basically a thermoplastic version of polyurethane, which normal bushings are made out of. I've seen good reviews online of people doing that, so I think this is going to be a test if this can work or not. And I got some aluminium bar, stainless steel bar to make up the inner sleeve of the bushing, because I'm not going to reuse the inner one and I didn't know what diameter they were, so I couldn't adjust the bushings to that size. And yeah, let's go ahead. First step is to cut the stainless steel bar down to 50mm sections. In total we need 8, because we're going to do all bushings. Lower trailing arms needs 4 and upper trailing arms another 4. And then I guess we're going to do the panhard bar at a different time, because I didn't print those bushings yet. Yeah, let's go ahead, cut that bar, and then we're gonna get the car jacked up, take everything out, and start putting our bushings together. Let's go. Okay, so what you need to do is jack up your car on jack stands like this. I use the frame rails to put them up, and then I used a jack in the middle of the differential, so you can move the axle up and down depending on where, you know, what the arms want to come out. And then you just loosen these 4 bolts for the lower trailing arm. There's one down here and one in the front over there. For the upper one, there's a long bolt through the frame rail here, and then another one back there. These are quite hard. You need to hammer them out sometimes because they rust here in the middle. And what happened for me was that this bushing, it was rusted to this middle sleeve of the bushing. So this whole sleeve started to spin when I tried to spin the bolt out. So the bolt didn't want to come out. For this lower one, what I did was hammer it and spin it with the thing with the impact. And because it didn't, like, this bushing just continued to spin, what I did was use like a vise thing to clamp down on these mounting points to squeeze them together, so they will squeeze on these teeth here, hold this sleeve, and then I could use the impact to break it loose. And what we're gonna do is chuck these in the drill and sand them down in the middle, so they go into the, you can see this one's pretty rusted. I think this was the problematic one. So these go inside the new sleeves pretty easily. And then yeah, you just take these out. I will use the press to press out these bushings. There's also like these hand push out kits, but this is kind of pain in the ass. What you need to do is you push out the rubber first, then there's this metal race on the outside, like a millimeter thickness. What I do is I take a saw through that, and then hammer it in a little bit just to hammer it out. You can use raw force, whatever you need to get it out. If you're lucky, it will just slip out, but mostly they're pretty rusted on the outside. And once you got these out, you can put the new bushings in. I will show that later, but yeah, let's get these bushings out first. is successfully removed. Now we can put in the PU bushes with the new sleeves and put everything back together. Okay, we're gonna put our bushings in. We got these two halves and the inner race that I cut out from the stainless steel bar earlier. And what we're gonna do, what I did, because these are 3D printed, of course, as you saw in the time lapse, I also included some like grooves that are hopefully gonna keep the lube in there a little bit. I'm using this super lube. I think it's what many people use for their bushings, so I hope this is gonna do a good job. We're just gonna get the inside of the bushing lubed up. Some people lube the outside of the bushing as well, but as far as I have understood this working principle of these bushings is that they spin around the pin in the middle. So if you grease the outside, you create the friction on the outside surface as well. Like you let this slip in, or you increase the possibility of slip of this in the outer bore, which I don't think is supposed to happen. So we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna grease the inside and not grease our fingers. Then you're just gonna put one side in, and then you're gonna grease the other side, so it hopefully doesn't squeak. And I'm gonna put a little bit in between as well. I don't know why. Then we're gonna put on the second side. In the end, it should look something like this. Gonna repeat that for the last one, and then we can put it in the car. I might not film that because it's just kind of repetitive. Throwing it in, put the new polished and ground down bolts in, and torque everything to spec. I think these get 87 foot-pounds, and I think it was like 118 Newton meters if I'm not mistaken, but I'll put it in the screen here so I don't say anything wrong. Torque these up. Usually you're supposed to tighten bushings when the suspension is compressed, since that's for rubber bushings, because the rubber bushings are fused to the inner race. Since these are designed to spin around the center race, I don't think it's as necessary to torque them down with the car or the suspension loaded, but we might still do it because why not? Because you're also squeezing on these, you know, on these outer ones, so might as well do it properly. So yeah, do that, torque it down, and then you're ready to go. Okay, as you can see, we got a slightly special contraption here because we had the issue that when putting the upper arm is in, and we wanted to put in the lower arm, but this bolt hole didn't line up. It was like half the bolt hole out this way. So what we ended up doing, we tried to jack up this side, take down this side, and bring the axle in all kinds of different positions, but it didn't work. So what we ended up doing is take a ratchet strap, wrap it around the mount, and then hook it onto the transmission mount because it was the strongest we could find. And then we just pulled it forward, and then the bolt went in. So that's a trick that you can use if you have the same problem, because I think the old bushings were just so worn out that it didn't bother that it didn't line up properly. But now with the proper bushings in here, it didn't line up anymore. So yeah, car should go even more straight now. Nice.
And there you have it. That's all the bushings installed. I wanted to give a little like feedback on how it worked for me in the end, because I've been driving around with these bushings for about a week now, and they seem to be working really well. Car drives good, no more squeaking. Of course, I don't know how long they're gonna last. I will make a follow-up video on that if there are any problems. If there's no follow-up video, it's working fine. If there is, you know something went wrong. So yeah, I want to give some more insights on how these bushings are actually printed and what my settings were and everything like that for anyone who's interested in trying that yourself. First of all, for the design of the bushing, I decided to put a you see that. A double helix groove inside the bushing. It's like a crisscross groove like that, which also doesn't extend to the end of the bushing, but is like a few millimeters, ends a few millimeters early, so the grease cannot escape out. That's the theory, at least. And it keeps the grease inside and keeps the stainless steel bar that I put in the middle nice and lubricated the whole time. And then for the print settings, I print on the higher end of the temperature range for this TPU material. So I think it was 240 degrees Celsius, just in order to make sure the layers bond to each other nicely. And then I also went with a slightly thicker layer width. It's just a try, but it seemed to work quite well. And then one thing you really need to watch out for is the dimensional accuracy, because for me, I double checked all my things, thought I had made a mistake in my CAD drawing, but turns out I think it's material shrinkage. When it cools down, this TPU material seems to shrink a little bit when you're done printing, or even already while printing. So my bushings turn out, even though they were supposed to be 41.7, I already printed them 41.9 millimeters. They turned out 41.5, so it's quite a bit of shrinkage, about 0.4 millimeters in diameter. So yeah, I would recommend printing your bushings a tiny bit bigger than they need to be, that they go into the control arm very snug. Mine were a bit easy to go in, so I am prepared to replace them at some point and print them in a better size. But yeah, the next thing would be that I printed with many wall lines. So I didn't want the linear infill. I went with, I think I maximum 10 inner and outer wall lines, just as much as you need for the thickness of your bushing, because I think it gives it more strength if the printer can print one continuous loop around. So that's what I did. And then of course make sure that your filament is dry. I'm not sure if you can see for this one, the filament was not quite dry, so it didn't print that cleanly. That's also something to watch out for. And this is TPU 95A, just regular cheap TPU. And yeah, for me, these bushings, a whole set would have been several €100, but this bushing, I think, how many did I need? 1.5 rolls of filament, maybe. I think because I had a few misprints in the middle. You can print them for 10-20 bucks, plus a few bucks for the stainless steel bar, cut it in pieces, and you have a very cheap bushing kit if you need to. Nothing. That's what my goal also is with these things. Experiment on what you can do yourself and how much it needs to cost. And for me, these bushings, yeah, worked out great. So I can recommend it. As I said, of course, on your own, how do you say? Your own responsibility. But yeah, if you need cheap bushings, try it out. And I guess that's it. Everything I have to say for now. If you have any more questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. I'm always happy to discuss these topics. And yeah, I would also be happy about a like or a subscription if you want. Anyways, I hope to see you in the next video. If not, have a great day as well. And bye bye.